The cruise that turned into a floating nightmare. True horror story. There's a difference between forgetting something and having it taken. My sister doesn't talk about what happened on that ship anymore. She won't go near a dock, won't even look at photos of the ocean. Last year, when we tried to surprise her with a beach vacation, she screamed in a way that made the whole family freeze. Her therapist says she's coping with traumatic memory distortion, that it's normal to fill in the blanks with imagination when the brain's overwhelmed. But I was on that cruise too, and I remember everything. We boarded the Arcadia Serenity on October 29th, 7 nights at sea, round trip from New Orleans, with 2 stops along the way. The ship was brand new, a mid-sized luxury liner marketed as a more intimate spiritual experience. It was Halloween themed, but not in the fun costume party way. They leaned into mysticism, ancient sea myths, and a whole lot of New Age nonsense. Candlelit meditations, psychic readings, aura cleansing. My sister booked it for the both of us, said it would be healing. The first strange thing happened during boarding. The welcome screen by the security checkpoint glitched, only for a moment, but enough for a few of us to notice. The smiling cruise director's face froze mid-blink, the background music cut to silence, and a single word flashed across the display. Repeat. No one said anything. And honestly, if that had been the only glitch, I wouldn't be telling you this. Our room was on deck 6, port side. Everything about it felt off. Not haunted exactly, just wrong. Like the layout didn't make sense, or the space didn't match the hallway it connected to. We chalked it up to cruise weirdness, jet lag, alcohol. But that night after the orientation dinner, I noticed something else. The mirror in our cabin didn't show my sister. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light. I waved my hand behind her back and saw it clearly. My reflection moved, hers didn't. Then she turned to look at me and laughed like I was crazy. Her image flickered in, like it had buffered. And that's when things got worse. The days blurred. People we met on the first day disappeared by the third. Staff members changed uniforms halfway through a conversation. The food got colder. The lights dimmed earlier. Some hallways no longer led to the same places they had the day before. One elevator only opened when no one was standing in front of it. And the dreams. God, the dreams. I woke up one night with seawater in my mouth. Not sweat, not drool, actual salt water. My sister woke up screaming that something had whispered her birth name through the cabin speaker. A name she hasn't used since she was adopted. There's a file on my old phone. I haven't opened it in over a year. I'm afraid to. It's just labeled deckcam06 full loop.mp4, but I didn't name it that, and I have no memory of recording anything. The timestamp on the file says it was created 2 days after we returned home, but we only stayed on the cruise for 4 days. They told us we disembarked early. Some kind of mechanical failure, partial refund, apologies all around, but my emails are gone. The photos? Corrupted. Even the group chat with other passengers vanished. And I know what you're thinking. That maybe this is just trauma. That maybe I'm exaggerating. But this isn't a creepypasta. This isn't a made-up internet story. You can look it up. Just don't search for Arcadia Serenity. That name doesn't exist anymore. The cruise line scrubbed everything. But if you dig through the archived travel forums from late 2023, you'll find a thread titled, "Did anyone else hear screaming from Deck 7?" Only 2 posts. 1 reply. Both users deleted. I didn't know her name until later. At the time, she was just the girl in the yellow hoodie who sat 2 rows in front of us during the safety drill. The kind of person you notice without meaning to. She looked too young to be alone. Kept checking over her shoulder like she expected someone to join her or follow her. That was the second night, October 31st. The ship had just passed through a stretch of open ocean known for being unusually calm, like glass, the captain said. But the air was thick, heavy. Even inside, people moved slower. Conversation died quicker. At around 10:15 p.m., my sister and I were heading back to our cabin from the so-called midnight seance in the Serenity Lounge. which, by the way, was just a bored 20-something waving around sage and cold-reading people about lost pets and vague childhood trauma. But right as we turned the corner into our hallway, we saw her, the girl in the yellow hoodie. She was standing outside cabin 706, staring at the door. It was wide open. No lights on inside. No one else in the hall. We slowed down as we passed. My sister asked if she was okay. The girl didn't answer. She just reached into her hoodie pocket, pulled out a key card and said, "This isn't my room anymore." Not in a sad way. Not confused. Just wrong. Then she turned and walked away. Not toward the stairs or the elevator. She went straight past the end of the corridor and kept walking. The hallway doesn't go anywhere past that. It should have ended at a storage wall. My sister and I looked at each other and did what most people would do when confronted with something that doesn't make sense. We pretended it didn't happen. Until the next morning. Around 7:30 a.m., the announcement system chimed. The captain's voice came on, calm and rehearsed. "Good morning, passengers. We'd like to remind everyone that leaving personal belongings unattended may result in their removal by security. If you've lost a key card, please report to the concierge desk." But something about the way he said removal made my skin crawl. By the time we made it to breakfast, people were already whispering. A cabin had been sealed off. Deck 7 was blocked with caution tape, actual yellow tape, like from a police scene, except it said, "Maintenance hold." We overheard a crew member mention a safety issue involving a broken lock. Cabin 706. That afternoon, my sister decided to press the issue. She asked one of the crew members at the guest services desk if everything was okay in that room. The woman smiled, looked down at her screen, typed something, then frowned. She excused herself. Another crew member took her place. When we asked again, he said there was no cabin 706. He even turned his monitor toward us. The deck plan skipped from 705 to 707. He suggested maybe we misread the number. We hadn't. That night, I got a message on the cabin phone. No caller ID, just static at first. Then a voice, female, barely audible, like it was recorded underwater. The door was open, but it wasn't for me. Click. I checked the hallway immediately. Nothing. Dead quiet. But when I got back, there was a paper under the door. Not cruise stationery. Handwritten. Just 4 words. "Check the mirror tonight." And that's when things got worse. At exactly 2:06 a.m., the lights flickered. We were both awake, too wired to sleep. I turned toward the mirror across the room, floor length bolted to the wall, and saw the girl in the yellow hoodie. Standing behind us, we whipped around. Nothing there. But the room had changed. A single chair had moved. The closet door was cracked open. And the mirror? It no longer showed our reflections, only the hallway. Except this hallway had no end. It just stretched, and kept stretching. On the far edge, so faint I almost missed it, something crawled along the ceiling. Slow, pale, watching. We left the room, slept in the movie lounge that night. The next morning, cabin 706 was completely gone. I don't mean blocked off, I mean erased. The doors were renumbered. What used to be 705 was now 706. But I remembered the rust mark on the carpet from someone's rolling suitcase. I remembered the exact paneling dent near the light. They were still there, just shifted. The girl was never mentioned again. No alerts, no announcements. No one else seemed to remember her at all. But 2 nights later, someone slipped another note under our door. Only this time, it was folded around a torn piece of a cruise itinerary. The handwriting matched the first note. Same 4 words. But this time they read, "She was never alone." The cruise was starting to feel less like a vacation and more like a test. Of memory, of perception, of reality. My sister barely spoke the morning after the second note. She just sat at the tiny breakfast table by the porthole, staring at the sea. I tried to shake it off. Told myself the girl in the hoodie might have been playing a prank, or that maybe we were overtired. But I couldn't stop thinking about what the note said. She was never alone. It felt like a warning. I spent the afternoon combing through my phone. I'd recorded part of the seance as a joke, hoping to catch the so-called medium messing up her cold reads. But what I found wasn't that. In my audio app, buried between voice memos and old to-do lists, was a file I hadn't seen before. It was titled Rec Deck 700106 Wave. The timestamp showed it had been created the night the girl disappeared. At 1:06 a.m., we were still in the cabin at that time. I didn't remember hitting record. I didn't remember being anywhere near Deck 7. My stomach dropped. I hit play. The first 10 seconds were just white noise, like someone walking through wind, but indoors. Then, footsteps, slow, deliberate, like heels on tile, and then a voice, whispering, breathy, shaking. He told me this wasn't the first loop, that I needed to remember, but the doors don't stay in the same place. More static. Then the unmistakable sound of water, not dripping, rising, filling a room. Something clinked, maybe metal. Then, do not follow the girl. She isn't real anymore. Silence. Then a high-pitched tone, like feedback from a blown-out speaker. My ears started to ring. I yanked the headphones out, and that's when my sister said she'd heard it too. Not through the phone, through the walls. We pressed our ears to the paneling. It sounded faint at first, like a voice on the other side of a long hallway. Then louder. Not just one voice, dozens, overlapping, all whispering the same thing. Repeat, repeat, repeat. I checked the audio file again. My phone was hot. I tried sending it to my backup email, but it failed. Twice. Then the file disappeared. Not deleted. Gone. No trace in my cloud. Later that night, we found another note. This one wasn't under the door. It was folded inside the closet, tucked between the life vests. Torn cruise stationery. Same handwriting. It read, Deck 9 isn't real. Stop trying to reach it. But here's the thing. The ship only had 8 decks. At least that's what the map said. Curious, and against all common sense, we went exploring. Elevator panel showed decks 1 through 8. Stairwells, same deal. But just past the spa on Deck 8, there was a door marked staff only, slightly ajar. Inside, a narrow stairwell going up. We climbed, quiet, careful. Every step creaked like it was warning us. At the top was another door. No markings. When we pushed it open, we were met with nothing. Just a long hallway with no lights. The air was freezing. Not cold from AC, freezing like a walk-in freezer. The hallway felt wrong, too long for the ship's layout. Curved slightly, like it didn't obey the rest of the floor plan. We took maybe 10 steps in, and the lights behind us cut out. My sister screamed. We turned to run. Door gone. We weren't alone. There were footsteps in front of us, bare feet slapping wet tile. The sound of breathing, but not from lungs, like water rushing in and out of hollow pipes. We ran, or tried. The hallway stretched, looped, bent. The floor turned slick. The lights above us flickered, revealing glimpses, shapes. A woman crouched in a corner with no face. A child's drawing burned into the wall, a sigil in red chalk that shifted every time you blinked. Finally, the door reappeared. We slammed through it, tumbled into the spa, and startled a crew member who looked at us like we'd fallen from the ceiling. When we demanded to know what was on that floor, he just said, "There is no Deck 9. You must be disoriented." We never found that door again. The hallway behind the spa was sealed the next day, freshly painted, like it had never been opened. But back in our cabin, my sister found something else. Inside her backpack, which she hadn't touched since boarding, was a USB drive she didn't recognize. No label, no keyring, just a file inside, named lupo2audiomaster.wav. But here's the worst part. The file was created 6 days from now. We didn't sleep that night. Not really. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that hallway again, the curved one that shouldn't have existed. My sister kept replaying the moment she found the USB, swearing she'd zipped the backpack shut before boarding and hadn't touched it since. The file was real. The date stamp was clear, 6 days in the future, and we hadn't even been on the cruise for 4. I wanted to believe it was a glitch, a clock error. But the USB also contained something else, metadata. The software I used for audio work showed the file had been edited, spliced, layered, over 40 tracks. One of the layers had a name. Not a file name, a title. ArcLib06, Lamentation Pattern, Iteration 19. That didn't sound like music. That sounded like documentation. We needed help. There was one passenger who came to mind, an older woman we'd met on the first night during the welcome mixer. Her name was June. She was in her 60s, quiet, sharp-eyed, said she was a cruise regular but didn't drink, didn't dance, just watched. She wore a silver chain with a charm I didn't recognize, something like a key twisted into an infinity loop. When I approached her the next morning, she was already sitting at the back of the observation deck, facing the horizon, coffee untouched. She spoke before I even sat down. "You opened the hallway, didn't you?" I froze. She turned slowly and gave me a look I can only describe as sad knowing. "They never put the fail-safes in on this ship. They kept the architecture from the old ones but skipped the rituals. Said it cost too much." I asked what she meant. She ignored the question. Instead, she asked me for 3 things: the name of the audio file, how we'd found it, and what time the lights flickered when we were in the hallway. I gave her everything. When I said 2:06 a.m., she exhaled like someone just confirmed her worst fear. Then she handed me a folded napkin. "There's a door behind the buffet on deck 3. Looks like a janitor's closet. Open it exactly at 3:33 a.m., no sooner. Inside, count 7 tiles to the left and knock twice. Ask for Saul. If he answers, leave. If he doesn't, get inside and shut the door." I asked why. She said, "Because this ship isn't going where you think it is." And then she got up and left her coffee behind. We never saw her again. Later that day, my sister noticed something strange about our key cards. They no longer opened the cabin door on the first try. When we went to the help desk to replace them, the system flagged our names. A third crew member came out this time. Different uniform, silver lanyard. He smiled too wide and told us our access levels had been updated. When we asked what that meant, he said, "You're being transferred. Internal reclassification. It's standard." We asked for details. He said we'd need to speak to the onboard liaison. When we asked who that was, he leaned in and, in a voice not meant to carry, said, "You already have." That night, we followed June's instructions. At 3:33 a.m., we found the janitor's closet behind the buffet. The staff had all vanished hours earlier. Kitchen silent, dining area cleared. My watch ticked over. We opened the door. Inside, pitch black. The faint scent of salt and burnt plastic. We counted 7 tiles to the left. Knocked twice. Silence. We waited. 30 seconds. A minute. Then a voice behind us. Not in the closet. From inside the dining area. "Saul doesn't answer anymore." We spun, empty. But the door behind us slammed shut. We were locked in. My sister pulled her phone light. The room wasn't a closet. It was massive, circular, like a dome. And there were carvings on the walls, symbols I didn't recognize, drawn in what looked like rust or blood. At the center of the room was a raised metal chair, like something from an old operating theater. And under it, scratched deep into the steel floor, was a phrase repeated in a circle over and over. "You have been here before." We didn't scream. We couldn't. Something about the room made sound vanish, like it was being absorbed. I tried recording, but the app crashed. The light flickered, and for a split second, the symbols on the wall moved. Then the door creaked open. No one was there. We ran. Back in our cabin, my sister checked her reflection. The mirror showed her, but only her. I wasn't there. The next morning, we decided we were done pretending. Done trying to rationalize things away. We needed answers, proof that we hadn't lost our minds. We went straight to the concierge desk and asked to see the passenger manifest. The young woman at the desk looked surprised, not suspicious, genuinely confused, like no one had ever asked that before. She smiled, tapped her keyboard a few times, then asked for our room number. We gave it. Deck 6, room 618. She typed, waited, typed again. Then she said carefully, "There's no one currently registered under that cabin." I felt my stomach drop. I gave her our names. First, last, even the reservation number from the confirmation email. She smiled again, a little tighter this time, and said, "I can check again, but sometimes our system resets after an update, especially if a guest has opted out of the internal experience." "What does that mean?" I asked. Her eyes flicked up. "I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to access Tier 2 guest data without elevated clearance." She said it like it was a script, like she'd memorized the line. I asked to speak to a supervisor. She nodded and walked into the back office. A full 10 minutes passed. When she returned, she looked different, paler. She handed us a paper copy of the manifest. "For transparency," she said. I flipped through it immediately. Hundreds of names, family groups, solo travelers, staff, but not us. Not under our names, not under our cabin, not anywhere. I checked the pages again. Near the end, tucked into the corner margin of the second-to-last page, was a single line, typed sideways in faint gray ink. Tier 2 presence acknowledged, non-reflective status, in process. I looked up. The concierge was gone. Just gone. Another staff member walked up behind the desk as if nothing had happened. I asked where the woman had gone. He blinked, confused. "There's no one by that name working today." We went back to our room, packed our bags, planned to demand disembarkation at the next port. But when I tried to check the ship's itinerary, the website redirected, not to the cruise line, to an internal page that simply read, "Access denied. External navigation disabled during iteration." I refreshed the page. Iteration 19. 3 days remaining. We didn't know what that meant, not then. But the word iteration, we'd seen it before. In the audio file metadata. That night I woke to find my sister sitting upright in bed staring at the wall. Her eyes were wide open, but she wasn't awake. I called her name. She didn't respond. Then she spoke. Flat, monotone. "Deck 9 never ended. It just forgot to close." She blinked once, lay back down, and went still. In the morning she didn't remember any of it. Said she slept fine. Said I looked tired. But when I checked her arms, I found something new. Marks, not bruises, etchings. Tiny, raised scars forming a pattern that looked like the same sigil we'd seen in the hidden dome room. I took a photo. My phone glitched, froze, restarted. The photo was gone. So I tried using the cabin TV to check the internal map. The info channel, the one that cycles through onboard services, excursions, and crew messages. It wasn't there. In its place was a black screen with red text, "Do not attempt exit. You agreed to this." A second later, the regular feed resumed. And that's when we heard the knock. 3 slow taps on our door. No footsteps, no voice, just those knocks. We froze, waited, opened it. Empty hallway, except, on the floor, another folded note. This one printed on the same cruise stationery, but not handwritten. Typed, perfectly aligned. It read, "Manifest updated, presence confirmed, regression pending, exit no longer valid." We weren't just being watched, we were being processed. We stopped using the elevators after that. Something about the way they chimed began to feel wrong, always arriving before we called them. The doors opening to empty shafts or blackened corridors we didn't recognize. Instead, we took the stairs. Always in pairs, always with the emergency exit map in hand. By that point, even the map felt unreliable. Corridors we'd walked before had changed lengths. Fire doors led to storage closets. And once, just once, we opened a door marked laundry access and saw a room we were sure didn't belong on this ship. It was cold, circular, covered in seaweed, the same dome-like space we'd seen behind the buffet. We slammed the door before stepping inside. When we opened it again, it was just a utility closet. That was the day we decided to find the blueprints. We'd read somewhere before the trip that cruise ships, especially newer ones, have their architectural layouts archived in onboard data terminals for safety drills, mostly for crew use, but technically accessible through the onboard library system. The library was on deck 2, toward the stern. It was always empty. We found a single computer terminal in the corner. Old, slow, but functional. I searched Arcadia Serenity structure and got nothing. Then I tried emergency evacuation layout. That triggered a prompt. Password required. We tried everything. Our room number, last names, even the date we boarded. Nothing worked. Then my sister remembered something. June's charm. The twisted key with the infinity loop. She typed the word iteration, followed by 19. Access granted. The screen went black. Then, a full schematic of the ship. 8 decks, color-coded, hallways, staff areas, engine rooms, all the usual. But when we zoomed in on Deck 7, our deck, we saw something strange. A box near the aft end of the corridor labeled only Unit B, Null, Do Not Index. When we clicked it, the screen glitched. Static filled the monitor. Then slowly, the screen redrew itself. A 9th deck appeared. No label, no color. Just one massive room in the center. No doors, no elevators. Just a black rectangle with white text. Chamber redacted. Entry nonlinear. Do not engage. The cursor began moving on its own. Opened a command window. Typed out, user detected, initiating recovery sequence. We yanked the power cable. The terminal went dark. In the silence, we heard something behind us. A soft thud. We turned. A single book had fallen from the shelf. It was the onboard medical manual, page bookmarked. Dissociative passenger events and manifest removal protocol. It described a condition called spatial dissociation feedback, where passengers caught in incomplete reality transitions, lose anchoring, experience shared hallucinations, and are gradually removed from the primary loop for reintegration. It mentioned signs, disorientation near mirrors, missing reflections, Nightwater syndrome. Recursive access attempts, we'd experienced all of them. There was a handwritten note in the margin. Tier 2 loops bleed through after day 5. You need to jump before 6. We left the library, headed straight for guest services. There were 3 staff at the desk now, all wearing matching silver lanyards and blank name tags. We demanded to speak to the captain. One of them smiled and said, "There is no captain on Tier 2. That night we tried to stay awake, but something pulled us under. Not sleep, something heavier. I woke up on the floor. My sister was gone. The cabin was locked from the outside. On the bed was another note, this time handwritten, shaky. Desperate. I'm in the room with no mirrors. The water comes from inside the walls. I can't find the door anymore. Don't trust the announcements. They're wrong." It was her handwriting. Underneath it, scribbled so hard it tore the paper, was a final message. If they say it's day 5, they're lying. We've already looped. The clock read 3:33 a.m., and something was knocking, again, at the mirror. There are sounds the mind is never meant to hear from familiar places. The tick of a watch that suddenly runs backward. A loved one's voice saying something they never would. And the sound of your own voice coming from somewhere else. The knock came again, from behind the mirror. I didn't move at first, just stared, trying to understand what I was looking at. My reflection was there, still, unblinking, but its mouth was slightly open, breathing, not in sync with me. I stepped closer. The mirror fogged with each exhale, not mine. And then it spoke. "You waited too long." My body froze. I tried to speak, but nothing came out. The voice in the mirror, my voice, spoke again. She jumped. "You didn't. That's the difference." It smiled. I never smiled like that. Then the reflection moved, raised its left hand as I raised my right. Not mirrored, independent. It traced something in the fog. A symbol, one I'd seen before, scratched on the dome floor, etched into my sister's skin, and then the lights flickered. The mirror went dark. I backed away, heart pounding, grabbed my phone and tried filming. Black screen, no response. My apps blinked, then reset to default. Calendar changed, November 7th, but that wasn't right. That would mean it had been 9 days since boarding. We were only on day 5, unless June was right, unless we'd looped. I pulled open my backpack, digging for anything real. Passport, boarding ticket, credit card. Everything was wrong. The passport photo had changed. My eyes were shut. The card had no chip. The boarding pass listed my name, but the cruise name was different. Arcadia Knoll, Pilgrimage Cycle 19. Then the room phone rang. I let it ring 5 times before answering. Static. Then a voice, cracked, tired, terrified. They said you wouldn't remember, but the mirror, it's the only way out. The mirrors always lead back. If you still see your reflection, you're not lost yet. I asked who it was. The voice said, "You," before the regression. Click. I ran. The halls were empty, lights dimmed to emergency mode. Every monitor displayed the same message. Liminal stage, doors temporarily disabled. I tried the stairwell, blocked. Elevators, unresponsive. Then I remembered what June said about the failsafes, the rituals they skipped. I headed for the chapel. Every cruise ship has one. Multi-faith, always empty, usually forgotten. I'd walked past it on day 2, but when I reached it, the door was gone, replaced with a mural. A painting of an endless hallway. The girl in the yellow hoodie was in it. So was my sister, and me. We were all walking in different directions, none of us looking at each other. At the far end of the painting, nearly hidden in shadow, was the chair from the dome. I reached out to touch the mural, just to see if it was paint, but it gave. My hand sank into the wall. Cold air poured out. The hallway on the other side was lit by flickering orange emergency lights. No sound. I pulled my arm back. On my wrist was a new mark. Thin, spiral-shaped. Not a cut, a brand. A soft chime echoed behind me. The PA system, the captain's voice. "Good evening, passengers. Thank you for completing regression cycle 19. We are now beginning memory resync. For safety reasons, reflective surfaces may distort. Do not resist. You have agreed." I turned to the nearest window. My reflection looked back. It raised one hand, then the other, then smiled. "She's not waiting for you anymore." It mouthed the words. I checked my phone again. All apps gone. Only one remained. Camera, Rec 706 MP4, looping. I played it. It was our room. My sister sitting on the edge of the bed, rocking slightly, whispering to herself. Then she looked straight at the camera and said, "If you see this, you're not in the same version of me." The feed cut. I opened the closet. Inside was her backpack and her shoes. Still damp, still warm, but she was gone. You can only ignore a place for so long before it becomes the only place left. The dome room, the one behind the buffet beneath Deck 9, inside a space no blueprint accounted for, had been following me. Not physically, but it showed up where it shouldn't. Reflected in elevator doors, glimpsed in window glass at impossible angles. Every time I turned away, I'd catch a shimmer of that curved steel wall. The chair was always in the center, always empty, until it wasn't. On what should have been day 6, but might have been much later, I returned to the door behind the buffet. This time it wasn't locked. Inside, silence. The air was heavy, wet, like walking into lungs that had stopped breathing. The dome looked identical to before. Metallic, seamless, massive. But now, the chair in the center was turned around, facing the back wall. Someone was sitting in it. I took a step forward. My shoe scraped the floor, metal on metal. The person in the chair twitched. Their head lifted. Then slowly, so slowly, they began to turn the chair around. And I saw myself. Same clothes, same face, but dead eyes. The double looked right at me and spoke with my voice. "You think this is the first time?" I backed away. The door was still open behind me, but the hallway outside was gone. In its place, a blank corridor with numbered doors stretching in both directions. No signage, no light source, just gray panels and that awful hum. Like a distant engine idling in water, the version of me in the chair stood. "Do you remember when she first knocked?" "I do. You didn't answer that time either." I wanted to scream, to demand to know what any of this meant, but my voice wouldn't come. So I did the only thing I could think to do. I stepped into the hallway, The doors were numbered. 706, 706, 706, over and over. I opened the first. Inside, our cabin, empty, mirror smashed. Second door, same cabin, only this time water pooled around the bed. The closet door creaked open by itself. Third door. My sister sat on the edge of the bed, eyes black, whispering, "You're late again." I shut it. Each version worse than the last. Loops of us, infinite variations, each spiraling farther from what I remembered. Then I heard footsteps behind me, slow, deliberate. I turned. No one there, but on the floor, a new note. Same handwriting as the others. "Stop checking rooms. Find the source." Underneath it, a small metal tag. It was cold in my hand, stamped with a Latin word. Repetere. Repeat. Same word that flashed on the screen during boarding. Same word the passengers whispered through the walls. I ran, door after door after door, each opening to another version of our room, some untouched, others flooded, some burned, one filled with mirrors stacked floor to ceiling, all reflecting only the girl in the yellow hoodie. Finally, I opened one and found the dome again. This time the chair was gone, but in its place, a terminal, like an old check-in kiosk. Cracked screen, one prompt blinking. "Recover manifest integrity." Yes, no, I tapped. Yes. The screen glitched, began cycling files, passenger names, timestamps, symbols. A sound played through unseen speakers, layered voices whispering out of sync. And then, her voice. My sister. "This isn't a cruise, it's containment. That's why the doors change. They're trying to separate memory from self. If you can still hear me, it means you're in between. Not processed yet." Static. Then a countdown appeared. Iteration 20 begins in 3:33. I backed away. Every instinct told me not to be there when it hit 0. But before I could turn, the walls around the dome shifted. Not physically. They just reframed, like the room had blinked. And suddenly, I wasn't alone. They were all there. Every version of us. Hundreds of them, circling the dome in perfect silence. None of them moved. Except one. A version of my sister, soaked in seawater, eyes white. She walked toward me, placed her hand on my shoulder. "Wake up, before the door closes again." And everything went black. I woke up in my bed, not a version of it, not a twisted hallway clone. My bed, same sheets, same broken lamp we'd knocked over on the second night. But the mirror was missing. In its place was a steel plate, bolted to the wall, scratched with the same sigil I'd seen in the dome, on the USB, in the hallway murals. I sat up slowly. The room was lit with soft blue emergency glow, like the kind they use during final approach to port. I could hear the hum of the engines again. Real this time. Rhythmic. Grounding. I whispered her name. No answer. I checked the door. Not locked. The hallway outside was different. The lights were all on. The carpet was dry. Crew members walked by in full uniform, chatting like nothing had ever happened. A family passed with suitcases. A little girl asked if they were almost back to New Orleans. I blinked. An overhead announcement chimed. "Final debarkation will begin in 20 minutes. Please ensure you have all belongings and cabin keys ready." No glitches, no cryptic messages, just a normal end of cruise alert. Had it worked? Had I broken the loop? I ran to guest services, waited in line. The man at the desk greeted me by name, smiled, said he hoped I enjoyed my stay. I asked if anyone had reported my sister missing. He checked, said there was no report, that according to the manifest, we had both checked out of our room and had not reported any incidents. I asked for a printed copy. He gave me one. Her name wasn't there. Mine was. Alone. I checked the rest. No June. No girl in the hoodie. No Saul. I asked to speak to the captain. The man's smile froze. Unfortunately, the captain is no longer with us. What does that mean? I asked. He disembarked, just before cycle 18 ended. You mean cruise 18, right? He didn't answer. I turned, heart pounding. Near the entrance to the atrium, where guests waited to exit, was a new sign, printed in sleek gold letters on a black glass door. Final debarkation, Tier 2. Not customs, not exit, not disembarkation, debarkation. I stared at it too long. Someone behind me said quietly, almost kindly, "You should go now. If you miss it, you'll just loop again." I turned. It was June, or a version of her. Same charm on her necklace, same tired eyes. She didn't wait for me to speak, just nodded toward the door. "Don't talk, just walk. If you look back, it resets." I obeyed. I stepped through the black door. No security check, no passport control, just a hallway lined with mirrors. But this time, my reflection didn't look back. It stayed still, unmoving, even as I walked. I reached the end, another door, this one labeled only "Door active, final acknowledgement." A voice from nowhere asked, "Do you confirm release from containment? YN." My mouth was dry, my hand hovered. I whispered, "Yes." The door opened, and I was on the dock. New Orleans, early morning. A cool fog rising off the water. No crowd, no taxis, no sound but the river. I was alone, or so I thought, until my phone buzzed. One notification, airdrop request, one file from unknown. File name, deckcam 06, looped, final, MP4. I hesitated, accepted. The video played automatically. Footage from inside the dome. Low light, no sound. And in the center, my sister, sitting in the chair, facing away, looping. And on the wall behind her, drawn in fog, a final message. "She stayed so you could leave." My phone froze, shut off, wouldn't turn back on. I looked out at the water. The ship was gone, nothing left but mist, and a quiet echo rolling back from the river. Repeat, repeat, repeat.